Yo, 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 what's poppin'? All my peeps. It is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, joined alongside, as always, the best of the West. You cannot forget about Sarah Marshall with the SmackDown breakdown. Sarah, what's poppin', girl? How we doing?
Hey, yo.
How we?
That thing makes me laugh. It just makes me so happy.
I don't know what it is, but the way Scott Hall always was like, "Hey yo," it just like it was iconic. I could listen to that all the time.
Well, and at first I was like, am I going to get sick of doing this? Am I going to get sick of this clip? First of all, I took it from one of my favorite promos that he ever did because he just looked good. Back in the day when I would have been his biggest fucking rat. I'm a rat. But anyway, no, it just makes me so happy every time. So I'm very, and no one sees it until the clip's over. Like you can sit there and be like, you look like such a doofus. Cause I'm like, so happy like every time. But if you ever question,
that was just so genuine. Like,
yeah,
awesome.
I'm so excited. So, yeah.
Are we feeling that as excited now as we did for last night's show?
Yeah. When you asked me, because I ended up having to watch SmackDown
West Coast time
this morning. Yeah. Well, it's because I was cutting clips and writing an article last night, so I couldn't do it. But
busy gal.
when you asked me like, oh, so what did you think? And I was like, it was fine. It was more so because I was like doing other things, and I was like, I don't want to give you all of my opinions or whatever before we talk about it. But no, I think as far as SmackDown goes, because I'm a Raw girl, it was probably the best episode of SmackDown in my opinion in a few weeks. So
it was so good. It was, I would say that it was. Oh, sorry, got to get the other title in there. I thought it was extremely good for setting up WrestleMania. Like it was better than you could have got out of a show 2 weeks out, just because of how they're scheduling things and how they're building up to these matches. Because let's take an example. I don't want to get too into it now, but with some matches teased last night, between a father and son, we'll say, that was leaked or reported, alleged, whatever, like weeks, months, whatever. And it was finally announced tonight, or led into that at the show. It's stuff like that that's really making the show better and not as stale. Like it makes you excited for next week.
I know. And it's been I know that we say that, and now it's becoming a little bit more consistent where we are excited about next week, but it's nice to have that feeling again, and for both shows, I'm not always excited to see SmackDown, but there are a handful of guys that I really enjoy watching on SmackDown. So it's like, not anything against them, but,
SmackDown's my show.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like we just compliment each other. I'm Raw, you're SmackDown. I'm a heel, you're a babyface.
I can be. Don't turn this member C Nation heel.
Well, yeah,
that smoke.
I feel like, I'm a Scorpio woman, so if you know anything about astrology,
I just saw that I'm a Cancer. That's all I know.
Yeah. So you're a water sign. That's why we get along. We're both water signs, but Scorpios, you don't fuck with Scorpios.
It takes 2 hydrogen to make what? Never mind. Continue. Just go. I'm going.
Okay.
Nonsense. Yeah, we're going nonsense. I'm just. You know what? We're excited. I'm just so happy. I'm off work tomorrow. I'm going to the parade, and SmackDown was so good for staying in and making it worth staying in on Fridays and having to get up at 5. So, Sarah, what's the first topic to stop me from royal rambling here?
Let's talk about Cody Rhodes again, because first of all, the fact that they announced that he was going to be on SmackDown, I was just like, my first reaction, this dude is already, again, doing double duty more than Roman. And we can get into that in a second, but I'm so frustrated about the whole Roman thing. And it's not just because he's not been on SmackDown or Raw for like 2 weeks now. It's a different level, but we'll get into that. So Cody starts off the show, doing his thing, and I saw on Twitter, so I want to talk about this right away because I don't know if you've seen it, but I do dabble sometimes in wrestling Twitter just to see what some of the random people are saying because
I'm immersed in it. I'm just immersed.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm more so football Twitter, so that's why it's like I don't see what all the weirdos are saying. But the thing that I'm seeing a lot apparently are people are upset that Cody Rhodes is likely going to win at Mania, and they think that the crowd and the audience are going to turn on him if he does. To me, that is one of the weirdest things that anyone could be saying right now, or even believing could actually happen. I don't like. Do you not hear the reaction every single night? Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes all he does is stand there. Like he just like talks and they're acting like he just won, the Royal Rumble all over again.
My response to people who say that is bring it on, because it's just a natural transition into a heel persona story, whatever, of it's my moment. I did this for me. I don't need you. This is my family story and whatever. And I don't know if anyone remembers old Cody. Thank God I've been doing my Mania rewatches because I get to see it. His match with Rey Mysterio at 27.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want right now a heel Cody Rhodes in WWE just because it would be on another level. I mean, if
good.
just like the promos you do as a babyface are, that translates over well to a heel. He can do exactly what he's doing now, just turn it on himself.
Yeah, he's always been a good heel. That was never a question. Yeah. But imagine how much better he'd be now.
Just bring it.
But do you actually think that's going to happen?
No,
I guess.
Not at all.
That was more of the question. Not at all. Yeah, because when I saw that, I was like kind of trying to go down a rabbit hole, but I got frustrated, so I just stopped because I was like, I know that for the most part, it's going to be people whose profile pictures are, pictures of their favorite wrestlers or whatever. There's going to be a lot of these people that are saying it, but because I'm not so immersed into wrestling Twitter, I don't actively check news and stuff all the time or rumors or whatever. I was like, is this actually a talking point right now? Because I was one of the people that didn't want him to win the Rumble. So I understand that there are people who are very much like either anti-Cody becoming champion because they wanted it to be Sammy or they wanted it to be Jay or whatever, or they want Roman to retain because they want him to hit 1,000 days. Completely fine. You don't have to be Team Cody. I get it. But the idea of the crowd somehow deciding that unanimously they don't care and that they're going to boo him, I'm just like, I don't know where we're getting that from because you haven't even gotten a hint of that yet. If anything, people are more excited about his match with Roman. So
these people trying to be like fucking Paul Revere? Like what?
I'm just I know, right? Like they're trying to like warn us ahead of time. Are you future? Like I don't understand. So I just had to ask that because it has nothing to do
with... turn is coming. The turn is
it was just very confusing. And so that's why I was like, I'm gonna ask this because it was a tweet that I kept seeing on my timeline last night, and I was like, I haven't heard this, and I just wanted to say
that's like, what you think. I got 2 words for you.
So
oh my god.
So Cody starts Raw in all of his glory and
SmackDown.
SmackDown, sorry. Anyway, he does both shows now. It's very do you think that we're gonna get what do you want to talk about? So what do you want to talk about? That's gonna be one of his catchphrases, right?
Oh, 1,000%. I love just steering to the skid, keep doing it.
Yeah, so it's gonna become like the Usos being like blah blah. We are the bloodline is in your city. It's gonna be like the Rock has come back to wherever. Because last night was like Kansas City. So what do you want to talk about? I'm like, you need a bank on this, dude. Like I thought it was cheesy at first because it just seemed like
good. It's
what?
So
well, I'm
good.
saying no. I don't mean last night. I'm saying from when he first came back, and then it was like every week, and I was like, okay, why are we doing this?
Oh, I knew
and
exactly.
Then
it was incredible.
so I was like, okay, I get it. Like he's pulling from AEW, whatever. But I like that he pulled in the audience, like the city that they were in last night. I was like, that was a good move. Whoever came up with that, if that was on the fly, whatever. I'm like, keep going with it because just like John Cena said to him, the whatever they give to you, give back. So that's perfect. I think that's great. So he is out there and basically just immediately calls out Kevin Owens, says that he wants to continue meddling in his friendship with Sammy, and then
coming down to contestants row.
Yeah, and then Sammy comes out and hold on one second. My sister is in the middle. I'm streaming. She's trying to ask me what I want for Chipotle from Chipotle, and I'm just like, she's like, text it to me.
Well, she's just gotta know you at this point.
Well, okay, hold on. I'm just gonna have to cut this out when I do the clips.
Yeah, we're live. We just
I know.
Go with
Sorry.
it. Just steer into the skid. Just what? So text what is? Boom. This is how you turn it in. This is why I'm the host with the most. What is your go-to Chipotle order?
Okay, it is. Well, right now it is just a salad.
Oh, boom!
With white, I can't eat a lot of stuff at Chipotle, dude. So
I forgot. Okay,
yeah.
Right.
So I get a salad with white rice and sofritas.
Okay.
Because that's sofritas is tofu, but it's bomb.
Okay, yeah. I want to ask this because I am been curious about this for a long time. What the hell does tofu taste like?
It basically is just going to taste like whatever spices you put on it, like, or marinade or whatever. It takes on like whatever flavor that you put with it. So it's kind of like a sponge. It's like a blank canvas. It tastes like virtually nothing but like mush until you put something with it. And so that's why like, there are a lot of people who, when they have it, like they'll put it and marinate it. I don't know if you have to do it for very long, but I've never cooked it myself. But yeah, so basically it's like, to me the only difference is just that it's a texture thing. That's basically the only way you would really be able to tell the difference. Otherwise it's like, for a long time when I was getting sofritas, I didn't know that it was like tofu. I didn't know.
Really?
But I had such bad luck with the meat at my local Chipotle's. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So
I agree with having bad luck.
Yeah, lots of fatty tendon tissue. I'm like, no.
So I only get steak.
Yeah, but even then I couldn't do that anymore either. But anyway, let me get back on track since hopefully she gets my order. But anyway, I mean, I get the same thing every single time, so I don't understand why. But anyway, so Cody wants to continue meddling in Kevin Owens and Sammy's relationship, their friendship that is on the out. Sammy ends up coming out, and they talk and whatever. And Kevin is not into it and just says, well, wait a second. So the first thing that I liked about this was, we know that this is just, a storyline right now. This isn't real life, but everybody knows how close they are in real life and how long they've been friends.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And
thick as thieves.
The way that they have just portrayed this like breakup in their friendship is so believable. It comes off so natural and so realistic. Like, Sami Zayn completely underrated for his acting skills. Like,
I think he should win an Oscar.
Dude, I seriously am like, whenever you decide you don't want to be a wrestler anymore, if you're gonna just like completely leave wrestling, like, you might want to consider acting, because like the way he was saying, like, I don't know why you're still upset with me. We've gone through worse things than this, and we've always come back together. And it's like, do you want to just scream at me? Do you want to punch me? Like, do whatever. I'm like, that's so realistic, because sometimes in life, like, you'll have a relationship that's just not, there was a falling out and you don't know what else to do. You've exhausted everything. And that is the type of stuff that you would say. So hats off, because he did a phenomenal job.
It hit home. It was a really good segment.
Yeah, I know, right? I like the line when he said, "We can be the ones to bring down the ones." I like that.
Oh, I clapped. Yeah. I was right there. Yeah. Great storytelling.
It's very good. So Kevin says that he doesn't want to be friends with someone who doesn't want to be his friend, says he's good, and he leaves the ring. Eventually, a little later, we see Sammy approaches him in the parking lot, because, who doesn't just have their car ready to go with the keys in the ignition?
It's WWE logic.
Yeah. And he says that they are friends, that they are brothers, says that he loves him and that he just wanted to let him know. So KO ends up leaving anyway. And then we see Sammy again when he does a little interview with Kayla Braxton, and Sammy says that maybe when he, upon reflection, maybe he is the problem. Maybe he does need to just do this by himself. So that left us on a cliffhanger. I'm going to wait until we see the rest, but more of that build up.
Yeah, let's build to that.
You want to go to that right now, the main event?
No.
Oh, okay.
It.
Yeah,
Let's
no, but
go
I
to
felt
it.
like they did a really good job with this again. I mean, we
Ring
say that, like, I swear, every single time we talk about a bloodline storyline, we're just saying.
because it's so good. It is the best story in wrestling. And this is coming from someone who is not like 100% WWE or 100% the other guys. Down the
Mhm.
middle. It is the best story in wrestling because yes, you have the MJF shit in AEW and then whatever's going on in Impact and whatnot. But this is like Hollywood type of shit every single week. And it's not only how like the storytelling and the writing into it, whatever, it's the placement of these segments. They're
Yeah.
not just throwing it all at you or saving it to the end and it's really rushed like we've seen in WCW before in their early 2000s booking shit. It's so well done and you could legitimately do spin-offs for
Mhm.
shows
Yeah.
about this. And it doesn't have to be wrestling.
Mhm. It's like,
It's
or like it's like a mafia movie or something,
that's
you know?
exactly it. Which
Yeah.
little spoiler there. The apparently there was supposed to be. I don't know if they're saving it for like, the Raw, the Go Home show or Go Home SmackDown, whatever of WrestleMania. But they taped a Goodfellas WrestleMania
Mhm.
with the Bloodline.
Ooh, that's gonna be good.
So
I wanna go to the show. Gosh darn it.
I want to next
If
year.
you wanna fund me to go to the Go Home
Yeah.
show of Raw, please let me know. Venmo me
Oh,
some money.
we got to get you at the Go Home show.
Well, that's like, it's like in a week, so I
We
don't know.
let's
I
get
just
him.
like go by myself, so awkward. But anyway,
I would go to a wrestling show by myself.
I
I
would
have gone to a
too.
wrestling show by
I went
myself.
to a concert by myself, so I
That
went to a
makes
football
sense.
game by myself. So I could do a wrestling show. That's fine. Um, let's see. Okay, let's move on to Dominic begging for his WrestleMania match with Mr. Mysterio once
God, did he?
again. Yeah, so we had Dominic and Rhea versus Santos Escobar and Zelina Vega. It's a great match. I love that Zelina was in a match, first of
Thank
all.
God. Yeah.
And I liked how much they were letting her do all sorts of things in the match. And it wasn't just like Rhea completely dominating, because that's what we've been seeing over the last couple weeks when Rhea's been involved in a match or something. I like that they let Zelina get her moment in there as well. Rhea and Dom win. So of course, then Dom gets on the mic and like calls out Daddy again.
Papi.
Um, yeah. And
Hey,
then
papa.
my problem with this is like it's fine, right? He continues to go on saying the same things that we've heard him say for months at this point. But I noticed, which we've talked about in our predictions when we talked about this, that he said, "You're trying to take away my WrestleMania moment." And I was like, to myself, because I was like, I told you that that's going to be an emphasis, and I
Yeah.
still think it's going to be. And the fact that he said it, I was like, okay, because I think they're going to use that. Um, I liked that Ray did, get a little bit more personal, I guess. I don't think he's necessarily telling the truth 100%, but he fed into what Dominic's been saying and saying, like, you're right, I haven't been that great. I've missed this, I missed that. Any typical wrestler of that era, of course, was exactly in the same boat as him that had kids. But then did let him know that, hey, if it weren't for me and all the money I made, you wouldn't be wearing that Gucci. You wouldn't be driving that BMW. You wouldn't be living in that house. And he said that fighting his own son would be the biggest disgrace as a father, and that he will never fight him. So they added some extra aspects that they haven't done yet, but I really need it to be taken somewhere else at this point, because if we're just going to keep seeing them have the same conversation for the next 2 weeks, I'm over it.
What do we think of this though? Micah does ask this
You have to
question.
read it.
Oh, I think Dominic is going to attack Ray at the Hall of Fame. I sure hope not. Let's keep.
We talked about that we don't want that to happen, and I don't want it to happen, but I kind of feel like because Ray got emotional about the Hall of Fame and he mentioned it and was like emphasizing its importance last night, something's happening. And I kind of hate it, but I mean, like, what? Do you agree?
No, I did it. I figured it out. I figured out when he's gonna accept it. Thank you,
Okay.
Micah, because
He's going to
You help
accept it
me
at the
do
Hall of
it.
Fame.
He's going to accept it at the Hall of Fame when he tries to take his moment, because how disrespectful, more disrespectful could you get than taking away your father's shining moment in being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, which someone like Ray should not ever, according to history's, definition,
Hmm.
he is the true underdog. I mean, he absolutely deserves it. Like, the human in me wants to see, his entire family up there. And Dominic even saying how he's helped him so much in the business and all that. But
Hmm.
the champ, this is what the human is different from the champ. And the champ is saying that you need to have Dom just be like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna like, and he's not gonna attack him. I feel like we don't want that at this point, just because I don't. Well, they might. Who knows? But that's when you do it. They oh oh.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I'm still, unless things change. I mean, it's 2 weeks away, but I'm still in on he accepts at Mania. But it's definitely possible that he accepts the night before, obviously. Yeah, because are they just okay? So they're not doing SmackDown on Friday, so it's going to be the Hall of Fame instead. Is that what they're doing?
It has to be.
All right, well that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I think that they're definitely adding like different things that they can do, I mean, especially with like I said, him mentioning the Hall of Fame, him mentioning you taking away my WrestleMania moment. I don't know. They definitely have some different directions that they can go in. I just really hope that we get it a little bit more spicy or something, because it's just like the prolonging of Dominic being like, hit me. I bet you won't hit me. It's like that's where I feel like I'm at this point, where he's just saying the same thing every single week, and Ray's like, I'm not gonna fight you, and then he walks away. I'm like, can we like progress this or something, like,
Yeah.
or just stop calling him out or something, because it's just getting a little bit boring at this point, in my opinion. So the women's
Oh, this is interesting. Hold on,
four.
before I just want to bring this up because this is important information about anyone who's going to be watching wrestling on
Oh,
Wrestling
okay.
Weekend. SmackDown first half Hall of Fame is after SmackDown on Peacock. Interesting. Okay, thank you, Micah, for that info. Now, Sarah.
Yes. So commentary announced that there will be a men's and women's showcase of a 4-way tag team matches at WrestleMania. So we had the first qualifying matches on SmackDown, which was Liv Morgan versus Raquel Rodriguez, and Raquel Rodriguez versus Emma and Tegan Knox. It was an okay match. There was nothing like amazing. You kind of already knew that it was going to be Raquel and Liv, but do you think that this is just a way for them to get more men and women a part of the show rather than them doing like a battle royal?
1,000%.
Or is it going to be like, are they going to become whoever wins becomes the number one contender for the tag team titles? Like, can at least there be some spike? Well, they didn't announce that. They didn't mention that.
Oh, they didn't? No, I thought they did.
No, not
Oh, well, that's what it's
from
gonna
what
be.
I heard.
No, that's what you wouldn't make that match just for shits and giggles. No, that's going to be whoever wins that number one contender for the titles, and it all will work out. But my point, or going back to the point about the fatal 4-way tag compared to a battle royal, it's so much better because a battle royal is very, clusterfuck. It's just a lot of hodgepodge, a lot of shit going down in one pot. Whereas a showcase like that, you get to actually kind of tell a mini story while, actually doing some wrestling. And it's not so, oh, it's just people trying to throw each other over the top rope and, oh, this is a comedic moment. It's more of obviously the wrestling style, but it can be a great way to set up future feuds for the next few months and maybe future alliances and whatever. So I like this, and actually WrestleMania 19 did this, except that they had it for the titles, where they did a fatal 4-way or triple threat, whatever it was. But that was so much better than if they did some bullshit battle royal, because like you get to see your favorite wrestlers actually do their shit and not just oh, try to throw over for 5 minutes, oh, now I'm back on the ground and resting for a second. Like, I don't know, I'm really a fan of this.
Well, and I think a Battle Royal, everybody knows that it was just a last minute thing that they put together and they're just using it for filler. So I think that this makes it feel like it's not a filler, even though it definitely is. Which is, in a way, I'm kind of surprised about it because it seems like both nights are stacked. Like, we know that there are at least, I think there's at least one more match that we know of that will be added, which is the Usos, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
Oh yeah,
But still, I mean,
it
the
hasn't
last
even been
time.
announced yet.
No, I know. I said oh, yeah. But I think
That's
the last time I
crazy.
counted, it was like 11 or 12 matches or something like that. Like, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they even have time to like add these, but obviously they're
Even
not
on
going to
2
be.
nights, you're surprised?
Yeah, because that's still a lot. Like, they're not going to be 5-minute matches. So that's what I'm
No, I
saying. Like,
know, but
I'm just kind of surprised that even 6 matches in one night, when there's quite a bit of storyline and whatever behind a lot of them, that it can't be a fast match. I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot to try and fit in 2 days, but I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
no, I'm not. I know what you mean. I'm trying to think it out right now where, 6 matches a night. I've watched Manias where there was 9, 10, maybe even 11 or more.
Yeah, but
It
that's
felt
not
like,
good.
and yes, it's not good.
Yeah,
Oversaturated.
I know. Yeah, and they're too rushed. You don't get to like, especially back then, they couldn't
Yeah.
really overdo it. Like, they couldn't go over like that much time of the 3 hours. So, because they used to be only like 3-4 hours for Mania.
Yeah.
But now they're like 5 hours a night, and I'm just like, sometimes I'm exhausted after night 1, and I'm like, oh crap, we have another night. Like, I'm not trying to complain, but it's a
Watching wrestling
lot.
can be exhausting, contrary to
So,
popular belief.
speaking of WrestleMania, we had Charlotte and Rhea Ripley brawl finally throughout the audience on SmackDown. So first, Charlotte made her entrance, comes in the ring, talks about her accomplishments, including that this is going to be her 7th Mania. And she kept saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's like she just read like a Tumblr post or something and then just was like repeating it.
My
But
mom.
anyway, says that Rhea won't be able to beat her, blah, blah, blah. So Rhea comes out and she killed it with what she had to say.
My brutality.
First of all, yeah, her song is great, but her promo was great. I think it's the best of her feud so far with Charlotte. She did such a great job.
I really enjoyed it.
Dom gets up in her face, which sets up Rhea to get in a cheap shot, and then Charlotte gets pissed off and they go after each other for quite a while. And I think this is exactly what their feud needed. Because I think I just talked about it last week that I was just not.
We did just talk about it.
Like,
we're pretty good.
Yeah, I was saying that I was interested in the match because it's going to be good, but I was like, something needs to happen because as of right now, I don't care about this match other than the fact that, like, okay, yeah, it's going to be good because it's Charlotte and Rhea. But this made me excited, and this made it in my eyes because there's this whole conversation about what match is going to main event night 1, mostly coming down to the Usos match or this match. And that, I'm not saying that that's what it should be, but that made it like a qualifier to me because the argument originally, I'm like, why would Rhea and Charlotte main event? Like, who's excited about this match? Why? It's not hyped. It's not hyped up other than the fact that, oh, Rhea won the Royal Rumble, so technically she's supposed to main event. Well, but if people aren't reacting to it as much as they are to other matches, I don't think you do that. That, I think, brought the energy that people needed and the excitement around the match.
And I want your thoughts on this. This popped into my head as you were going on. Do you believe that Rhea Charlotte could be this era and women's Flair Steamboat type of rivalry?
I mean, maybe, but I feel like it's a little early to say anything. What?
I don't completely disagree. I hold on. I think so. Continue your point.
Anyway, I was just gonna say, I think it's more so with Rhea because she's been this version of Rhea for only like a year or so at this point. Charlotte, we know, can go up and down through like ebbs and flows. Like, she can do it all. We know that she can be a babyface, she can be a heel. We don't like her as a babyface, but she can do both. She can be Raw champion, she can be SmackDown champion. She can carry a match with Ronda Rousey, or she can be, a great participant in a a triple threat Mania match or whatever. So we know that. And nothing against Rhea, but she's still very young and we haven't seen a whole lot from her yet. So, like, do I think that it could become like an iconic legendary feud? Absolutely. But I think that we have to see, first of all, like, how does this match go? And maybe like how the rest of the year goes. You know what I mean? Like, if she becomes champion, how does her championship reign go? Because what if it became like, I'm not saying that would, everyone was hyped about Liv Morgan winning Money in the Bank. Where it's like, yeah, we were so excited for her to be champion. And then it fell flat, whether it's her doing, the audience doing, the booking, whatever. It's like, what if that ends up being Rhea? We don't know. So I don't know. I don't want to put too much into it yet.
A lot of comparisons with her in China. A lot of comparisons.
And it's funny. I know it's people have been like, I don't know if you saw her tweet, but there's been people on Twitter and stuff that have been, putting their stats and stuff, Charlotte and Rhea's stats, like they're this age, they're this tall, they weigh this much, they're from here, right? Like it's a boxing match or something. And Rhea had to correct people because they were saying that she was like 5'6" and like 130 pounds. And so Rhea was like, I've seen a lot of this, but I just need to correct you guys. I'm 5'9" and I'm 170 pounds. Cause I'm like, yeah, you guys are so delusional. First of all, like if you don't know how tall she is, look up how tall Dom is. Cause they're pretty similar in height.
Literally same height.
And
it's so funny.
A woman that is 5'9", in no way would she look like Rhea and be 130 pounds. If she was 5'9" and 130 pounds, she would look like she needed to eat.
She would look like she's on Mass Ave.
Like, so it would be like, so yeah. I just thought that was funny, but I think
there it is. I drive by it every day.
So yeah, I think that this is exactly what their feud needed, and I'm a lot more excited about it. But I do have to say, what is going on with some of Charlotte's outfit choices?
I don't know what the jumpsuit is. It's weird, especially when then she kicks off the heels and she goes like
barefoot.
Yeah, barefoot. I don't like barefoot. It freaks me out in the wrestling ring. I don't know why.
So you didn't like Riddle either? Wait, doesn't Solo?
Wait, Matt Riddle's still a person?
Matt Riddle wrestles barefoot. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I know, but Matt Riddle.
I'm like, bros. I know, but doesn't Solo wrestle barefoot?
Solo does too, but it's a Samoan thing. That I get.
Okay.
It's Samoan.
But anyway, a couple weeks ago, I don't understand the fashion of where they wear the jumpsuit, but it covers all their fingers also. Like it's like, have you seen those? Charlotte wore that. I think it was like bright blue, and I think you only saw it for a second because I think it was during this segment where she came in the back and said she wanted a match to Adam Pearce, and it was like really awkward interaction between them. But yeah, no, it's like a long sleeve, but it's like gloves, and it's like covering their entire fingers. I don't understand that look, but I don't understand fashion. So I'm like, her jumpsuits and stuff. Again, doesn't it kind of remind you of Becky when Becky Lynch was wearing outfits like that? I'm just saying, okay?
I'm gonna let that one little marinate there.
I'm just saying. Also, I wanted to pose this question. So we know before there were double titles for the men and the women, that if you won the Royal Rumble, you automatically got a match with like whoever was champion. And for a really long time, they said that means you main event WrestleMania. Do you think that still stands to this day? Because that would mean there's like 4 main events technically. I mean, at this point it's only, well, no, that's 2 main events, but still, do you still think that is like applicable to wrestling now, or at least WWE now?
No, they've kind of done it in the way they phrase it with winner gets a title shot. I've heard that a couple of times. Mm-hmm. So that's their loophole. Just because there's so much talent right now, there's a lot more that goes into a show than years ago where it was very cut and dry and, well, the championship's going to be the last match. Of course it is. It's like, no, there's other things that, take importance due to legends and storylines and, maybe even a tag team should main event, which kind of I think is bringing up to your point. You're going to ask the question, what do we think should main event?
Well, we already talked about that, but you can say now if you want, like if you've had a change, if you've changed your mind.
I don't know what to be honest with you, I forget my true point. I think I said I don't know because I still don't know. And it's more because I do believe that if you're going to have 2 nights, at least have the women main event a night just because they've shown they're capable of it.
Right.
But the bloodline is so good. It is so there is no other story in wrestling history that compares to the bloodline.
Well, and it's funny, I had someone say to me that they think that the women have to main event night 1 and that the bloodline matches should all be on night 2. And because then it's like the emphasis of the bloodline, which to an extent I get it, but I liked my argument, which was if the Usos defend their tag titles Saturday night and they lose, that starts the unraveling of the bloodline going into night 2, which then becomes a huge focus anyway, because then Roman is like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to win because the Usos just lost. We're already losing like our power in WWE. Like there's more pressure on me to win. Like that becomes this whole other factor into his match in the entire night. So
And
to me, that's more exciting to me because then you have it coming on from the night before rather than him just like suddenly getting that feeling in the middle of the show and then he has an hour to have to like sit in that. It's like, no, I would prefer that it was like 24 hours that he had to sit.
And could you imagine them walking out to, because that the entire bloodline is going to be at Roman's ringside in his corner, and then somehow Sami Zayn and KO will find their way
unless they ban them.
Well, that's a good point. But what I was going to say was that could you imagine them walking out without the titles?
It's going to be weird.
Like
their first entrances without it.
The emphasis on the state of the bloodline would be,
I know,
incredible. And
imagine the end of Mania, the ending shot. Other like Cody just like out. Cody on the turnbuckle like crying, Roman just laying there or like sitting there disappointed with Heyman just being like, it's gonna be crazy. But I'm not against. I like obviously for the women to have a chance to main event, and of course like I'm not going to be mad if they do that. I just feel like from a story standpoint, I think it really just depends on how everything is going leading up to Mania, and right now it feels like the bloodline is the hottest thing.
It is the best thing in wrestling.
I don't think that people should be taking that as a slight towards the women or towards Charlotte or Rhea, like if it ended up being that they didn't main event. And that's what people are coming to like already. They're already trying to push that it would be disrespectful. And it's like, to an extent, I get it. But as you said, they're not really pushing that you main event Mania if you win Rumble. I mean, basically, if you're the man, you do, which is unfortunate that it's not the same for the women. But
no, not. I think, well, now it's going to be 2 nights. Yes. Okay.
But so that's what I mean. But it's like, I think that, I mean, there's it seems unlikely that they would ever book a men's championship match from Rumble to Mania that wouldn't main event or that people wouldn't want to see as the main event. I find it hard to believe that there's
CM Punk Jericho.
I mean, there's some that wouldn't, but I'm saying it's like, it's Triple H booking it now. I think things are going to be a little bit different. And I think,
he's going to give the women the main event more.
100%.
And then the main guy, it's the bloodline and it's just circumstance.
And it might be just
Tom Brady and Super Bowl. It's one of those things.
And they could even call it like co-main events. They could probably have the Usos go first, and then the women, Rhea and Charlotte, end it, and then it's like, okay, like they're both towards the end of the show, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't think there's really a wrong answer necessarily. Or wrong choice, but I think that Charlotte and Rhea definitely made me a whole lot more interested in their match, because before last night I did not care. Then we got LA Knight.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to click it at the same time?
I'm not even on the page anymore.
Oh, okay. It was just me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was you.
Anyway, so we had LA Knight in a match against Xavier Woods, because now we know officially that Kofi Kingston had ankle surgery yesterday, and he is not going to be at WrestleMania, or at least not in a wrestling capacity. But apparently they are planning something for the New Day, including Big E. So whatever that is, that'll probably be fun. I loved his gear last night, the all black. Very nice. Very nice. I liked that.
No resemblance? Didn't see any
Stone Cold
symbolism there? No?
Yeah, Stone Cold. Anyway, so he loses to Xavier Woods pretty quickly, and my first thought is, other than being pissed off, because I was just like, what? Like, because he also lost to like a schoolboy. I'm sorry, my cat is driving me absolutely insane. You would think being pushed off a desk like 4 times in a row would indicate to you that someone doesn't want you there, but then you just keep coming back. Like,
that's
girl,
personified.
Why are you so obsessed with me? This bitch is back.
Girl,
She's back. She's back. She's back.
You know what? Just let her in. If you just let her interfere.
It's just I can't cut the clip, like, because I don't like people to
see
that
like
I just
cats.
have a cat. Anyway, okay, so my assumption is that he's losing matches recently because it's just fueling, that he's gonna want a match at Mania. Is that your feeling as well?
Yeah, my feeling is that because he's so over with the crowd and people know who he is from NXT, that's not going to translate over the main roster. He still needs to lose a little bit, take his beatings, whatever. And I think it's a good way or good timing right now leading up to Mania, because he's going to get a moment. I mean, look, he had a moment with Undertaker and Bray Wyatt at Raw 30. And, and it's going to be another moment like that, we'll say, at Mania with like Stone Cold. So, I mean, he's losing matches, but he's been in the ring with Stone Cold, Taker. All I'm saying is that they don't do that to many guys that they believe in, and I think LA Knight is one of those guys.
My only concern is that we've seen this before, where you think some guy is going to be like pushed and whatever, and then they end up just getting like obliterated in every match leading up to like Mania, SummerSlam, or whatever, and then they end up being completely buried. So that's why I'm just like, I really hope that this is just adding to it. Like his backstage segment where he like went up to Rey Mysterio and was like, "Oh, what are you doing? You're just over here signing autographs and blah 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 blah." Like, if your son doesn't want to, or if you don't want to have a match with your son, like, I'll take it. I'll even call myself LA Mysterio. And then he just like punches him in the face. It's like,
that was so funny.
Like, that made it more obvious to me that this is what they're doing, that they're just going to push him to be pissed off that he doesn't have a match. I'm just hoping that, as we talked about in our prediction, that we hope LA Knight wins, because it only makes the most sense, because he could even win over Stone Cold in a stupid way. Like, even if it was just like a schoolboy roll up, like, cool, that's fine. Like, I don't care. Or if it's like a count out, you know what I mean? Like, he gets in at the last second, Stone Cold is standing outside the ring with a 10. I don't care. Like, as long as he gets the win, then I'm fine with it. But if he doesn't get the win, then I'm really mad. You know?
Yeah.
I'm just sticking to that. And this chick,
LA Knight versus Lashley. Ooh.
LA Knight versus Remy.
Remy, do you want your WrestleMania moment? While we have some time here, David said that at 19 was a 6-pack challenge for the women's title. I think, well, you're wrong. The 19 was Trish, Victoria, and Jazz. For the women's title, Trish won. And
let's go, Queen.
And here's the thing. That's why you rewatch WrestleManias, to prepare you for WrestleMania season.
Okay, let's get into one of the best parts of the night as well. We had Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus to be the Gunther's opponent at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. Imperium comes out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, baby," that's what I said. And then
verbatim, in that voice,
just like that. "Oh yeah, baby," that's what I said. So I also wanted to mention, I love that Gunther was being sassy to Wade, asking him stupid questions during the match. I loved that, because you don't see that a lot from Gunther, I feel like, where he was just like, "Why are you being stupid?" Basically, like, I'm trying to pay attention to the art of wrestling. How dare you? So I liked that. It was a good match. Obviously, we all knew it was going to be a good match. And Gunther decides that because it looks like these men are weak and they can't even get up for a 10 count, that he was like, nope, this is not what's going to happen. So I'm going to come in here. My men are going to kick your ass, and then I'm just going to leave. And then Adam Pearce gets on the screen and is like, well, you wanted a singles match, but it's going to be a triple threat now. And then Gunther's pissed off. So,
and then they went back to class when the bell rang. Yeah, it was a really good, not only match, but I loved this segment so much because Gunther yelling at them as they can barely get up, and he's like, huh, you want my title, you want, and he's like, just, it's bringing that prestige back that, you know, this man is just a freak of nature, and he really is. He's so good in the ring. He's one of the few wrestlers that WWE has, you know, you know, that I would say, like,
and got into it and got into it for that. You know what I mean? Like, he likes the act, like I said, the art of wrestling. Like, professional wrestling is the root of his desire to get into this, not to be the actor, not to win champion. Like, it's just like, no, it's like how he speaks about wrestling. All of them, like, if you even watch like interviews with them, they speak so highly of wrestling. And I think a lot of it is not just their own mindset, but like Kaiser's dad was a big wrestler in Europe. So it's like he's been around this
generation. Oh, that's cool.
Yes. So like this is a, you know, it's a big thing where they respect it a lot. So I like that they
see that now. You don't see it.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing that's funny about it is that's exactly who they all are, like in real life. But it works so well for their characters to be, you know, these arrogant, like, I think I'm better than you, Europeans especially. Like that element, taking that from their real life, it just adds to their aura of being like, you know, just put off by everything, because it's like, oh, you can't even do this, or like that's what you're doing. It's like, no, they're like, no, this is how you perform. This is what you do in the ring. This is how it should be. So I just don't know how you don't like Imperium. How about that?
I don't either. I don't.
How do you not like Imperium?
Unless Imperium.
Yep. That's all we need. We need to get that as a clip.
What, me just going Imperium?
Yeah, we need to see. No, not you.
Oh, sorry.
No, of them doing that or something, because they don't really say.
They don't say it how I say it.
Yeah, they're just
yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy!
Yes, boy!
I want to see one more.
Anyway, let's get into the main event, which was more of the bloodline. So Jey Uso came out, Sammy came out pretty quickly afterwards and was like, hey, so you wanted to call me out, so here I am, blah, blah, blah. And they just go back and forth about like what's been happening with them, obviously. But the biggest thing that I noticed, and we've talked about this because we've noticed it in other segments that Jey has had, he's still, you can see that he's still tethered to Sammy a little bit, whether it's like purposely, consciously, subconsciously. I like that he's still doing that, because we know that they're, you know, we've discussed the idea of maybe Jey turning on the bloodline at some point, or all of the bloodline turning on Roman. I also love, because, you know, I joked at one point about Roman being abusive, like the abusive uncle, and Sammy said like whatever. So Jey was very emotional when he was talking about how basically disappointed he was in Sammy betraying him, and that he called him a fake ass oos, that he was always a fake ass oos.
Did you see my tweet about that?
Yes, you said it was gonna be on a t-shirt.
Fake ass oos trending worldwide.
Oh yeah.
It should have been. That's a great quote. It should be on a t-shirt too.
So then Sammy says in part that Jey is not mad at him, that he's actually mad at himself for taking Roman's abuse and for taking it as long as he had, and that he is not mad at Sammy for hitting Roman with the chair. He's mad that he didn't get to do it first. And I was like, I'm just blown away. Again, Sammy is so damn good, dude. I can't reiterate that. I can't emphasize it enough. I can't say it enough. I mean, it's Jey so too, good. But I'm just saying, it's like, it's insane to me that Sammy was kind of like hidden for this long, because of Vince McMahon, basically, because, he's not the tallest guy. He's not the fittest guy. He's not the hottest, the best looking guy. He's not the flashiest guy. And for the most part, that's going to be why Vince was like, no, we're not going to do anything. But I'm like, this is what you've been hiding? This is what you didn't allow for all of us to see? Like, this guy, like you said, he deserves to win an Oscar. Like, he's so good at this. Like, I don't. And the same thing, even like, it's great to see these moments too, even with that Jay and Jimmy have gotten singularly. Like, we've seen a lot of them doing their own things, and they've done a great job too, specifically Jay, because Jay's kind of gotten more of the mic time to express himself. But yeah, I it's one of those things that I feel like they couldn't do any better than they did last week, and then next week comes and it's just on at the same level, if not better. And I felt like this was another moment. So after Sammy says that, Jay kind of just like lets it fester for a second, and then he sucker punches him, starts attacking him, which then Jimmy comes out. And they are both attacking him. They throw him into the steel steps, and everyone's like, oh no, what's going to happen? And then Kevin Owens is like, banana, banana. And then you're like, oh my God. And then the very like stereotypical like thing that we love about wrestling, when, music hit. Okay, I'm going to stare at the Tron and pretend I cannot hear the crowd cheering because someone is very clearly behind me. I love that.
It's one of my favorite things wrestling.
It's
too.
like it's stupid, but
it's ridiculous. But that's the lore of wrestling.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, you kind of laugh, but it was a great moment. So Kevin's there, and then he, takes him out. He gives a stunner to Jimmy, a pop-up power bomb to Jay, and then Jay's all like, and just like rolling out the ring. I don't know if you heard him. He's like, just like making noise because it got like really quiet, and I was like, good job, Jay. And then Sammy and Kevin just stand there staring at each other for a while, and then Kevin walks over and they get a big old hug. And
I just right up. They were right up.
You know what's funny is like I said, I didn't watch SmackDown until this morning or this afternoon. But I saw this last night because people were just posting the clips like, listen to that pop. And I watched it like over and over, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is the thing about wrestling that, like, if you don't watch wrestling, that you don't understand about these types of things happening. You know what I mean? Like, you might see that clip and be like, why are you guys cheering so loud for a fucking hug? You know what I mean? But it's like, you don't understand like the emotions behind it,
And what I love about this is that this isn't just a friendship or bond that started in WWE. Like, no, these guys traveled the entire indie scene together.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to watch great storytelling in the ring and a rivalry, go watch Kevin Steen El Generico, aka Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in Ring of Honor. I watched their trilogy, I think it was, on YouTube, thanks to the algorithm for that one. And holy shit, like, there's no better opponent than your best friend sometimes. And I mean, we saw with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and other people, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are just soulmates in the ring. Because goddamn, I mean, that hug, that was just, if you were along for the whole ride from that point, or even with the start of the bloodline, I mean, that's just rewarding the fans. Like, let's go do this thing. Like, Buzz and Woody are getting back together. I don't know. You can make so many different comparisons, but I love it. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
Well, and so that was how SmackDown ended, which I think was like the perfect way for that to go about. The reunification of the best friends, because we had talked about it on here a lot about how are they going to go about this and when was it going to happen. I thought it would be maybe like at least a week from now, or if not, like right before Mania. But I like that they have this build up now. So we have 2 weeks or so of them being able to like now, okay, see where this is. And there's still plenty for them to have, them talk about. And now we know, okay, so the Usos are going to be against them. So there's stuff that they can do there. I think I'm very excited about it.
I want our peeps, our fans, to go back and find. I'm pretty sure last week or on the last week's or whatever it was on the Raw Rewind, I said 2 weeks before Mania, give me the KO will forgive Sammy and all that. And we're 2 weeks. I like to give credit where credit is due, and I'm due some credit.
So I meant to ask this earlier, but since that was the end of my notes, I forgot to ask you this. So
Okay.
I have expressed numerous times on here how disappointed I am about, Roman not being on Raws and SmackDowns more, especially recently, because I think it's wrong when you're a double champion and you're not, showing up and whatever. But I think that disappointment has kind of grown over the last couple weeks, because as much as they're having Cody do between Raw and SmackDown, and now like on this SmackDown they had him involved even more in the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn stuff. It's great. He's involved in the Bloodline storyline, blah 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 blah. But he seems to have more of a feud with Paul Heyman at this point than he does with Roman, and I think that's not ideal. And I think a lot of that is because they're just letting Roman not be around. So that is really frustrating to me, because as excited as I am for this match, and I know it's going to be good, a lot of that excitement feels like it's coming from the assumption that Cody's going to win, rather than like, oh, their feud is so good, I can't wait for it to finally come to a head at Mania. I really think that they need to have Roman on these last 2 weeks, both Raw and SmackDown, leading up to WrestleMania. We can't be having him be announced, oh, he'll be back on Raw. Well, why the hell wasn't he on Raw anyway? You know what I mean? And it always brings me back to his talking point against Lesnar when Lesnar was champion. Oh, you're just never around. You just like to come champion and you just don't show up. Bro, that's you. That's you now.
You
you become the person you hate.
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't know. Do you think that it's kind of done a disservice to their feud, their story?
No.
So okay, that's fair. So we have different feelings on it then.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, I share your thoughts that he should be on because the champion should be on. However, now that you have the Bloodline versus KO and Sammy, and Sammy pretty much taking the role as face of the company, face of the shows without having the title on him. And then you have Cody Rhodes doing the double duty, and that's kind of, his training process for when he becomes champion. You're molding these champions before they are crowned, which is smart. It gets them airtime, and it gets them to grow into that champion, top tier main event talent. So I'm okay with it. And I really, because of where I'm, I get it. Like KO, like you don't need him. There's so much better shit going on right now. Okay. I mean, let's just think for Raw. Seth Rollins comes to mind. Okay. I think Seth Rollins would be the champion of that show. And they're making Austin Theory, obviously, the champion of that show, with him being the US champion. And they have his feud with Cena. Cena main event, like top guy, whatever. So there you go. There's that element to it. SmackDown, Gunther. I mean, dude is basically, the next in line to be the, I would say Roman Reigns type of dominant champion. And you're having him do that with the Intercontinental Championship to get some reps in. And he's going up against 2 former WWE champions, triple threat in Intercontinental, both wrestlers, I would say, more than sports entertainers. It's okay. If in any other era, I would be pissed and really share your thoughts. However, with the amount going on and all my caring and, attention is going to that, I don't really care about Roman Reigns. He's the tribal chief, he's the champ, but his time is up and Cody's time is now. So boom.
Right. Okay.
God,
I don't agree, but that's okay.
That's all right. That's why we have 2 co-hosts here. That's why we have shared opinions. That's why we have these conversations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy. That was SmackDown, right? That was it?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, what a show. See, great show. Heading into Mania, Cody and Roman on Monday night. We're probably going to get a little bit of a recap with the main event from SmackDown, and we're going to see KO and Sammy together as friends.
Kissing. No, I'm just kidding.
On the mouth.
I just think it's funny. It's like, when you see those things and they're like, what if they just kissed? Like, what if you kissed? Like, I don't know why that's always such a funny meme to me. Like, kiss, 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 kiss.
No, that's such like that's like old 2000 thing of like, oh, you guys like hugging, you'll kiss.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, you love it so much, why don't you marry it?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, like that same type of
yeah, that kind of stuff is funny.
That's bros type shit though.
Yeah,
I love it. So that was SmackDown, and we thank you for joining us for the SmackDown breakdown, and to know when we go live, and to know when we are watching said wrestling. As I'm about to go throw on, Sarah, we're at WrestleMania 28.
Let's go.
Right, we're 28, and I paused this before we hopped on because usually I'd have it just going on, as we've done before. But we got to Taker, Triple H in the Hell in a Cell. I want to watch that. I want to pay more.
I'm curious how good the WrestleMania was the year I was born.
90 what?
89.
89. So that was 4 or 5?
5. Yeah. I mean, I guess it could be 5 or 6 because I was actually I'm 6 months.
5 was Hogan Warrior. I'm pretty sure.
Oh well, there we go.
No, take it back. It was Macho Man, the Mega Powers.
Okay, whatever. I'm just curious.
I'm gonna look it up right now before we end the show.
Yeah, WrestleMania 5. I think 5.
It was 5. Yeah, it was Mega Powers. I was right the second time. Mega Powers. Here's the card. You know what, Sarah? Here's the card. I got it for you right now.
Okay.
Dr. Doom and Hercules, or the King, whatever. I forget what it is. Mega Powers, Andre, and John Studd and Jake the Snake. We had Brutus the Bar Beefcake and Ted DiBiase. What was the character that Owen Hart was before he passed? The blue whatever. He took on Mr. Perfect. The Rockers took on Big Boss Man and Hakeem the Dream. And the Hart Foundation took on the Honky Tonk Man and a partner. Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude. The Bushwhackers versus the Quebecers. There's a lot of good. Oh, and
a lot of dead people too. It's crazy.
A lot of dead people were in that WrestleMania.
It's crazy.
R.I.P. Well, got to follow us on Twitter to get more conversations like this at Pat_Pitts and at SMarshXO. Instagram, I'm on there too. We're on there as well. At Pitsy35 and at SMarsh_. And then Sarah's YouTube channel. All right. We're here. That's where we do these streams and then even put clips from said streams up on the YouTube channel. So say you don't have that hour and 3 minutes and 37 seconds to tune in and join in the conversation with us. We cut it down for you. So maybe you get to just listen to what we think about LA Knight, potentially getting his WrestleMania moment. And then on the flip side, you get, maybe you don't want to hear about that. Maybe you want to hear about KO, Sammy, and the Bloodline. So we have that all there for you at her YouTube channel. Go check it out. In the meantime, we'll be back for the Raw Rewind on Tuesday. And happy St. Patty's Day weekend to all who celebrate. God bless. And remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you Tuesday.